It was really good. I think it worked out. There were definitely some parts where I thought that worked out differently than I thought they would, and then some parts went really well.
I think it was really stressful for me because I was taking really hard classes during the whole college application process, and I also had to take my ACT and stuff, so it was just a lot. And with college apps, it was hard for me to come up with a topic to write about, so it took a lot of time. So very stressful.
Yeah.
So I started kind of late because I didn't know what college I wanted to go to until like midway into the process. And so after that, once I decided my colleges, I decided I had to do regular decision because I was too late for early. And I got my recommendations pretty late, and I started my portfolio for art pretty late. Everything was pretty late, but I still got it together.
Okay.
And,
That's awesome.
I had no direction, and I was kind of driven by prestige over what actually fit me. And with guidance of a lot of teachers, specifically teachers like Ms. Carpenter, I was able to realize like the value and what aspects I have to consider for my college application process. So like specifically focusing on finances and location is really important to consider. So kind of brush past the importance of prestige and what your parents enforce and focus more on what's realistically important for you.
Well, it was definitely stressful, but honestly, I think I expected it to be a lot worse than it actually was. I think it was just a lot of preparing and planning, and then actual writing was actually more enjoyable for me than I thought it would be.
So mine was also kind of rushed, but I finished all of mine on time, which I'm really happy about. I finished most of my college applications. I have one or two more that are like due in like July, so I have lots of time to finish those. But yeah, I'm all done.
Nice. Okay.
I think highlight was putting my art portfolio together. That was way more fun than I expected.
Oh, good.
For me, the highlights were I started really early. I started in like July, and so especially like all the supplementals that I do in Common App, I got that out of the way before school even started, and then I had a lot more free time than some of my other peers did, so that was great.
I would probably say finding ideas. Like when I was just brainstorming and then I finally got an idea I was passionate about and wanted to write about, it was exciting for me. So it was just a kind of a chance to explore myself in different ways. So honestly, it wasn't too bad. Yeah.
My very first submission was University of Washington, and at the end of the Common App, there's a button that says celebrate, and when you do that, a bunch of confetti blows up. So that was really fun. I said for hours just clicking that button because I was like, done. I finished my first one. I was happy.
That's awesome. All right.
I think just getting hyped about schools that you like really never heard of. I mean, like, because everyone's heard of like the Ivies in Stanford or whatever, but like there's a lot of like pretty cool schools out there that are still like, like pretty like prestigious and like top ranking, but like, oh my god, like they have something perfect for like my major or whatever. You're like, oh wow.
Yeah.
I think I actually got a lot better at writing when I was like in the middle of it. I think I got a lot better like writing sentences like clearly and not like very like eloquently or like flowery like I think I usually used to do. So
like Asher said, I really liked researching the colleges because I found a lot of ones that I hadn't like heard about or known before, and some of them turned out to have like the perfect program for what sounds like the perfect program. So
Yeah, that's exciting. Okay. So
It's hard to say any highlights specifically, but finally submitting your applications is so breath of fresh air. And also getting help from your peers is quite liberating because although they're your friends, they're quite mean on their edits, but it's actually really helpful. Like you kind of see and have a new outlook on how to write and how to like succinctly but eloquently write as well.
Yeah, I do.
I didn't know that we basically have to start preparing in junior year for all of this because I didn't get my letter of rec until January, which is like I couldn't do any earlies with like anything that required letters of rec, so that was quite the process. I didn't
Definitely like just a few hours before that, I was stressing because I realized there were steps that I missed. So make sure you input your grades into the Common App and everything else. And like right now I'm getting a lot of emails saying, hey, your application's not complete, send in a few more documents. And just like having the stress of that is a little bit low, but I think having emails, like opening your emails and reading them is really good, especially to get communication.
So what's some advice?
Me, there were probably two. One was the essay took a lot longer than I thought it was going to, and so I hadn't really accounted for that, but it ended up working out. But yeah, definitely plan ahead for that. My last application was NYU, and at that point I was like burnt out, and I hadn't actually checked the requirements beforehand, and so I got to it, and then there were like way more requirements than I thought, and I had to like cram them all in together.
Low point was getting my recommendations because it was late.
Yeah.
I had a lot of trouble like thinking about like everybody else that was applying because like Interlake is a very competitive school. We have so many kids here who are just so talented in so many different things at the same time. So like thinking about everybody else was applying and then wondering like how am I even supposed to like try to measure up to how everybody else is doing as well.
Definitely. I kind of agree with that. Like, there's a lot of people you hear, everyone's like, oh, I shotgunned to all 8 IVs and Stanford and MIT. And I'm like, oh God, I applied to like 1 or 2 of those schools max. But like, I think definitely it's like, a lot of it's just like focus on like yourself and like your own like, you know, work. And it's like, because that college app is meant to be about you and it's like fit to tailor your own personal experiences.
I have that.
Real.
Probably the stress of knowing that these decisions will kind of have a big impact on my life, which like I understand that technically it won't have too much of an impact, but just in the moment it felt pretty stressful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend going through every single application before you even start and like making a checklist of what you have to do for each college and then working backwards to plan on what you need to do. Get it all done as early as possible. I think it was nice to have winter break to do, like, because I was done before winter break and so I had a bunch of free time then and it was nice.
Advice is be polite to your teachers, get good relationships with them so that you can get easy recommendations, and yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody has said this, but start early. Another one is just take time to know what you want to write about. Like sometimes people think about what they have to write about or like what looks good on an application, but it's honestly just what you are passionate about and that will turn out to be the best essays.
You probably heard already. Start early, start really fast. But other than that, just keep your eye out on your emails and like communications because colleges love to talk to you about that. And the more you talk to college admissions counselors and like more you talk to people like alumni and stuff, the more knowledge that you get. So it's important to branch out and try to get as much knowledge as you can.
Brainstorming topics is not something that should take too long. Just start writing on whatever topics you have.
Definitely like ask for help from your teachers. I think that it helped me narrow down what I actually wanted from a college a lot instead of just like looking purely at academics, because while those are important, like the vibe of a college and like location wise and financial stability is super important for you.
Yeah, definitely.
I knew about it. I didn't go to it. I definitely think it could have been helpful in like about learning about colleges and the process. But I did go to some of the colleges that visited here this year, and they were really helpful to talk about, especially if I had quick questions that I wanted answered right away.
No. Do you think it would have been helpful to attend?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have helped if I had gone. Like there was the representatives from schools that came to Interlake and I had the opportunity to talk to them and that was pretty helpful. So I think if there was like just a place where I could see new schools and maybe I would have applied to some that I didn't end up doing.
Oh, okay.
And I did end up speaking to my counselor. I talked to her a lot throughout the process and it was really helpful. Yeah, she's not just like writing your recommendation letter. It's about like getting resources for like financial aid and stuff like that and talking about scholarships.
Yeah, super important. Yeah.
Well, good luck. You'll do good. No matter what happens, you'll survive. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Good luck.
All right.